But for someone who's listening, who is very driven, who is a natural leader, who maybe is an Enneagram 3, how do you encourage that person to protect the peace of their home, to separate, to not bring that work life into the home and cause that chaos? What do you say to that?
Well, you probably should ask my husband that, because we are not, I would not say, I mean, it probably in the last, since we moved into Sanctuary, and probably 2018, 2019, and again, we've been married now for 20 some years. It took us a while to get there. And so what we've learned is we cannot take a week or 2 weeks and go on vacation. That doesn't work for us. What works for us is quarterly weekends away. What works for us is dedicated date nights, where work is off limits to talk about. Now, we'll talk about it in the car on the way, because we got to do the brain dump, right? Like, yeah. And then checking in, and we get this wrong. I mean, just the other day we had to have this conversation around, okay, we're out of rhythm. We're out of rhythm. And I can't coach my husband, which is, that's a whole nother lesson in itself, right? So, because that's what I naturally do. Yeah. So what I've had to do personally as an Enneagram 3, and Fern Gano Sausage, for those that live around this area, Fern and Dewey Gano run a very highly successful pig company. But Fern, who was a mentor of mine, said to me one time, Christine, never expect a human or your husband to be what Jesus is supposed to be for you, and never try to be Jesus too. And so what I have still fail at sometimes, but what I've been more intentional about is, Lord, provide moments for him to hear from you on this issue, or Lord, give me opportunity to speak into that. Yeah. Instead of when I really want to say it, how I want to say it. And, when I want to fire off a, sermon eval notes to him and so I'd say part of it is just really staying in tune to not what the flesh wants, but to what the Holy Spirit wants to do in the home. Yeah. And we don't have a rhythm that works for everybody. I mean, it works for us. And when we do take a week, I can't tell you last time, we did go overseas. I had to take a group of Alliance members. We took 70 people to Italy, by the way. I would not recommend.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we took 9 days then, but we were kind of working. We were both so we thrive off of doing. Yeah. We both do. We're helpers. We're fixers. So we've done ministry together. It just looks differently. Yeah. Like when Hurricane Katrina happened, we both went to Alabama. As soon as we got there, divide and conquer. He's, demolishing houses and doing that.
That's right.
I'm orchestrating the food distribution, right? Like it just, so for us, I'd say to anybody that is trying to figure out their home life, have a conversation around what rhythms work for each of you. Where the similarities are, where the differences are, and how do we keep peace instead of, because what you really want to do is point out why they should be the way you are. I mean, which is stupid. Right? Like, if you would just, not that we've ever, if you would just, So what we
I think we need to bring in Marcus.
No, we need to bring Jason. We need to do a couple sessions.
That's good.
That actually, and when I do that right, we have a beautiful. And I say when I do that right, when I do that right, there's a book called Love and Respect, which is all up in your grill if you take that book seriously. But there's a principle in that book, and one of my dear friends, we always talk about this, who's the one that should make the first move and making things better, right? Like who's the one, whoever's the spiritually mature one at the moment.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't be in your flesh. Yeah. If your partner's in their flesh and you match it with flesh, put on the boxing gloves. Yeah. But if you will bring, spirit into that conversation, if he would bring spirit into that conversation. And there have been times it's a dance, right? Yeah. Like, he'll be like, I don't need you to coach me right now. I need you to listen.